Hey guys, Theoden here. Today we're going to be going over the upcoming Mists of Pandaria patch 5.2. It actually just hit the PTR, so I figure I should go ahead and start taking a look at everything and let everybody know what's kind of coming up. So here's a quick overview. There is a new raid instance coming. We have a couple new world bosses. There are 2 new islands that we're going to be able to check out. There are no new 5-man dungeons for this patch. But there are 4 new scenarios. So let's go ahead and get into some of the details here. First off, this is not really related to the overview, but this is a side change. There are some changes coming to your Farmville sort of thing. There's the option to buy the farm. And if you do decide to buy the farm, it changes it a little bit, almost it's starting to look a little bit like a player housing sort of thing, where your farm itself, you can bind your hearth there and it becomes a rest point and an inn. And also you're going to get these work orders that come in from different factions throughout Pandaria, and it will be sort of an alternative way to earn rep with those factions as opposed to just doing dailies. So that might either... I don't know how much the rep is going to be. It might be able to supplement doing dailies, if you don't feel like doing that, or it might just be something to help you go a little bit faster. Another couple changes that they're making, actually. They're increasing the drop rates for if you plant a seed that's supposed to give you cloth or ore or leather or whatever, because right now nobody really uses those because they kind of suck. So they're increasing the drop rate on that to quote unquote make it comparable to farming out in the world. So whether or not that actually works out as intended is yet to be seen, but hopefully it does. Also, if any of you have the actual plow on your farm, it's really cool what they're doing with that. Now you're going to have the option of, instead of just running your plow through and having it skip anything that has like a little vermin hiding in it or whatever, when you run over the vermin with your plow, it's going to automatically bring its health down to 30%, and it's going to pop it out and stun it. So it'll make it a lot easier to kill. It's going to make your farming go a lot faster. Also, they're not getting rid of completely, but they're reducing the probability of getting the wild crops, which are like the big flailing, tendril things that are like a real pain. So they're making sort of some quality of life adjustments here, and I think that will be really good for the farming aspect. Okay, so moving on to sort of the more interesting content are the world bosses. Now, before I kind of get into the description of the world bosses, they are making changes to the world boss system on the whole. Specifically, it's going to be tap to faction, because in the past it was sort of like, okay, well, if a certain raid team pulled the boss and you weren't in that raid team, you couldn't get credit. Well, they're changing that now so that so long as the raid team that pulled the boss is of your faction, then you or your raid team that is also participating will also get credit. So on sort of the high population servers, I think this will help to relieve some sort of the tensions and anxiety over, oh, I didn't get the tap on the world boss, or having somebody drop from a group and then rejoin the group in order to share the tap or whatever. So as long as your faction hits it first, you're good to go. They're going to spawn a lot faster, which means you're going to get a better chance at actually getting the world boss, but you can only get loot once a week. So on the whole, I'd say that's pretty good, especially on those servers where it's really, really hard to get the kill. That also means that they're increasing the respawn rate for Galleon, so if you haven't had a chance to do Galleon yet, you'll probably get an opportunity to do that. So as far as what the 2 world bosses are that are coming in 5.2, there are 2 of them. You see I have the pictures on the right-hand side. There is Nalak, the Stormlord, which is sort of the dragon there on the bottom, which kind of looks like the Order of the Cloud Serpent mount. I'm assuming he's going to be a lot bigger when you actually fight him in real life. And then there's Undasta, which is an armored troll dinosaur. So I'm looking forward to those, and I think those will be really interesting. Okay, so we are going to get 2 new sort of zones that we can kind of check out with 5.2. The Isle of the Thunder King and Isle of the Giants. Isle of the Thunder King is going to be that's the big one, right? That's where everybody's going to be hanging out. It's got the new raid on it. It's got a new daily quest hub. There are 2 factions there, one for Alliance and one for Horde. And it also has the first of the 2 world bosses that we talked about, which is the Cloud Serpent looking one. As far as the two factions go, there's the Kirin Offensive for the Alliance and the Sunreaver Onslaught for the Horde. I'm assuming it's going to be pretty much the same, you know, just the Horde versus Alliance version. Also, there is the Isle of the Giants. I don't know any other information about the Isle of Giants, like what's going to be on there, other than the fact that it contains the Dinosaur World boss. I expect it'll probably be a lot smaller than Isle of the Thunder King. But either way, both things to make sure to keep an eye out for and to check those out as soon as it comes. Alright, so the Legendary Quest from Rathian does continue. Allegedly, at the end of 5.2, we're supposed to get the Crown of the Heavens, which, according to the patch notes, it says it's a new headgear enchantment. But I don't know if it was a blue post or a tweet or something, but I think it was Ghostcrawler that said, okay, it's not actually a head enchant, because a lot of people were complaining about that. So I'm not really sure what that's going to end up being. Maybe it'll be like an epic helm or something like that. I don't know. But that's something to look forward to once 5.2 drops. Alright, so now let's get into the good stuff, which is the Throne of Thunder, and this is the new raid. If you guys haven't checked out already sort of the fly-through previews, MMO Champion has a really, really cool one that they have up there. Of course, you know, they have all the disclaimers, this is really new, and, you know, things might change and all that. But it's definitely worth checking out. So if you haven't done it, go ahead and check it out. So anyway, basically, according to, you know, everything that I've been reading about the new raid, they say, okay, it's going to be like Ulduar or ICC in terms of its size. It's supposed to be, you know, real massive citadel working your way through, as opposed to sort of these, you know, smaller, you know, 5 or 6 boss instances that we've had, you know, in recent expansions, or recent patches, I mean. So specifically, there are going to be 12 bosses, which I think is the same as ICC. I think there were 12. And there's also going to be one heroic only mode boss, sort of like Sinestra back from the beginning of Kata. So I'm looking forward to that. Hopefully I'll get an opportunity to try out that heroic only boss. Basically, it's sort of the background as to why we're going to the Throne of Thunder. This is supposed to be the Thunder King Citadel, and the Thunder King has returned, and his name is Lei Shen. Basically, the Zandalari have now decided to ally with the Mogu, and they're kind of fighting against us, and we've got to go in there to try to destroy Lei Shen, or the Thunder King. So you're going to see, again, some troll influence in terms of the bosses that we're going to fight in here. I'm personally not a huge fan of that, but the instance itself looks really cool, so hopefully the encounters will be cool to go with it. We're going to be joining up with the quote-unquote Shadowpan Assault in order to defeat Lei Shen, and the Shadowpan Assault is actually a faction that you can earn rep with through completing the Throne of Thunder raid, but you only earn rep with that faction inside the raid. So it's sort of like, you know, going back to, you know, Firelands, how you had to earn the rep and then you could get, you know, specific gear upgrades from, you know, that specific faction, but it wasn't like dailies or whatever. So I think that's really great because, you know, you can actually earn your rep just through doing what you like to do. Okay, so as far as what the 12, actually 13 bosses, including the heroic only boss, are, I'm just going to go ahead and blow through them really quickly. Like I said, this just hit the PTR, so a lot of the information is, you know, not really well known yet about the bosses. So I'm going to go through them. I'll give you the name, the number, and any information that I have about them. If I don't have any information, then just enjoy the pictures, I guess. The first boss is Ginrock the Breaker. And this is a troll that has been in the game for a while and has been involved in some other lore in the past, but recently has undergone a new transformation in Pandaria. It doesn't really say what the transformation is. Obviously, he has a new and different model. Presumably, his transformation is a result of, you know, allying with the Mogu and getting some sort of Mogu power or something like that. The second boss, and this one looks pretty cool to me. It's called Horrificon, and it's basically a giant Triceratops mount. That is the fabled mount of the Zandalari war god Jalak. And it looks pretty cool. There's another picture that I saw on MMO Champion. I'm not sure how it's going to work exactly. It's kind of like a blue Triceratops, and it's called like Spawn of Horrificon. So I'm assuming, you know, maybe we'll see some sort of, I don't know, spawning of, you know, these other dinosaur ads that you have to fight at the same time. I don't know how that fight's going to go or how big the model's going to be, but personally I just hope it's like really huge. That would look really awesome to me. So I'm looking forward to that. Okay, no raid instances complete without a council fight. So the third boss is the Council of Elders, and as you can see, they're all trolls. It's the Frost King Malak, which I'm assuming is the blue guy in the middle, Kazrajin, which I believe is the guy on the left, and then Sul, the Sandcrawler, and I'm assuming he's the guy on the far right. We don't really know anything else about them yet, but I did look through at sort of like the ability list, and it says that while they're fighting, periodically they'll get like possessed, I guess, by the spirit of Garajal, who we killed in Mogshan Vaults, and he'll like empower them with special abilities. So these are some more of the trolls that we're going to be taking on in the Throne of Thunder. Alright, fourth boss is Tortous, which is a ancient giant turtle. Don't know why this is a raid boss. It's a really cool looking model. I'd like to have it as a mount. But yeah, so that's all we know about it. Hopefully they'll do some really cool mechanics, but you know, we don't know anything about that yet. Alright, Majora. This is the fifth boss, and it is a multi-headed Hydra. I kind of photoshopped the heads together because I'm thinking that's probably what it'll end up looking like. Kind of the interesting thing about it, though, is it says when one of the heads are killed, two regrow in its place. So I think this is going to end up being one of those fights where it, you know, kind of starts off pretty slow, but then it gets, you know, faster and faster and faster and more intense. The further in, it's going to end up being just a big, you know, big push to the finish line, big DPS race. So that should be interesting. Okay, sixth boss. This one I have no information about whatsoever. I was able to find this picture of it. It's called Jikun, I guess. All that I can tell is that it appears to be some kind of giant bird. Again, I'm hoping maybe this will be kind of like a dragon-style fight, only with a bird, but we'll see. Seventh boss is Durumu the Forgotten. He kind of looks like that that mount. He kind of looks like that flying mount that you could get from Old War. That was like that super rare one. But basically he's a giant eyeball. And from looking at his ability list, it looks like all of his abilities are like focus gaze and like destroy you with eyeballs. So I think that'll be a pretty interesting fight, and I'm really hoping, I don't know if they're going to do it, but I would think it'd be awesome if they made like a copy of him as like a mount, like just like a 1% drop. That would be really badass. Okay, eighth boss is Primordial. Again, there's not a whole ton of information about him, but I'll just read you the quote that they said. They said, "Deep within the bowels of Leishan's island citadel, Mogu flesh shapers formed the Sarok out of a magical substance of unknown origin. When the citadel was abandoned, some experiments languished in the dark pools for far too long." But anyway, so he was created by the Mogu, and I guess he wants to kill us. I don't know why. But let's move on. Alright, Dark Animus. This is the ninth boss. We don't have any information yet about him or his abilities. Basically, it looks like a giant sand elemental. I don't know what the encounter is going to be like, but I really like the look of the model. So hopefully that'll be a really cool fight. Okay, 10th boss. This is like Iron Con, I guess. Qon. I don't know how to pronounce that. If you look at his picture, though, I'm just pretty sure this is like one of Fang's cousins, because it's like the exact same model with horns. It says he fights while riding Quillen, kind of like the first boss in Mogshan Vault, so they're kind of like taking the first and second bosses and jamming them together. So, I don't know, I think it's a little bit odd, but I don't know, it could be interesting. Okay, 11th boss. This looks promising. Twin consorts. They're also referred to in the PTR files as the Imperial Queens. I don't know what it's actually going to be when it goes live, but I'm kind of hoping that this might be sort of like one of the TOC style fights, where you have the two things with the light and the dark and having to switch back and forth, or maybe something similar along those lines. All right, the 12th boss, which is the final quote unquote normal mode boss anyway, is Lei Shen, who is the Thunder King himself. He's got a pretty cool model, except he kind of has this dry eye sort of thing going on, with like the tendrils coming out of his face, but otherwise I think he looks pretty cool. I think it'll be kind of fun to finally take on the Thunder King. At least I know now. If you watch my former video, we didn't really have any information about him. I pictured him as Tony Soprano. So, yeah, I don't know. I wasn't really quite accurate as to what he looked like, but either way, I think that'll be interesting. Alright, the last and final boss, we don't actually even have a picture of him yet, but his name is Raiden, or Raiden. No doubt, I'm going to assume it's a play off of Raiden, the Mortal Kombat boss. So I'm expecting to see a lot of lightning. It's heroic mode only. And the quote that they have for Raiden is, "There are no scholars with any recollection or record regarding the details of Raiden's powers. Perhaps these memories have been obscured by the passage of time, or perhaps none who saw the Keeper of Storms in battle ever lived to speak of what they witnessed." So basically they're saying he's a total badass, and I'm assuming that, you know, is going to be the case because he's heroic mode only boss. But anyway, it looks like we've got a million bosses coming up in 5.2, but luckily it's going to be, you know, pretty, you know, to the point. We're not going to be having to jump back and forth between different raid instances. Like I said, if you haven't checked out the preview videos, go ahead and do that. And if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions for future videos, just leave it in the comment section below. And thanks so very much for taking the time to watch this video, and hopefully we'll have some more out soon. I appreciate it.